campus, Belle Sophia was the school's heartthrob, and she was my childhood friend. She fell in love with a campus celebrity, Marcus. Her grades plummeted. I told her parents about it and broke the two of them up. After graduating college, she married me. A few years later, I was struck by a terminal illness. As my consciousness blurred, Sophia said in my ear, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost Marcus. All these years I've hated you day and night." When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn, returned to the time before Sophia fell in love with the campus celebrity. I chose to push things along and help them get together. But I didn't know that Sophia had also been reborn. In a previous life, Sophia told me a well-intentioned lie. "Ethan, Marcus confessed to me. Do you think I should say yes to him?" I fell into a deep, groggy sleep at my desk and was woken up by someone pushing me. Seeing the young and beautiful Sophia in front of me, I was startled all over. Who am I? Where am I? I stared at myself in surprise, and at the classroom before me that was both familiar and strange. Looking back at Sophia, could it be that I'd been reborn? "Ethan, what's wrong with you?" Sophia looked at me in astonishment and asked, "Why are you acting so strange today? Don't say anything yet." I pinched myself hard to make sure I was alive and not dreaming. Looking at Sophia again, I instantly felt a rush of complicated emotions. In the last life, campus heartthrob Marcus confessed to Sophia, and she accepted. From then on, her grades plummeted. I couldn't bear to watch Sophia fall, so I chose to tell her parents, and in the end they were torn apart. After graduating from university, Sophia married me, but I was diagnosed with a terminal illness at only 30. While my consciousness was fading, Sophia whispered in my ear, "If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have lost Marcus. Although I married you all these years, I have hated you every day and night." It's hard to imagine. A person who sleeps beside you every night hates you all the time. "Fine, I'll make it happen for you." Thinking that, I looked at Sophia again and said, "What did you ask me just now?" "You're impossible." Sophia blushed slightly, then said softly, "Marcus confessed to me. Do you think I should accept him?" "Yes." I didn't hesitate at all and nodded. "You must say yes. I wholeheartedly approve." "Huh?" Sophia looked at me, stunned, as if those words shouldn't have come out of my mouth. "Don't hesitate. You should boldly pursue your own love, right? If it were me, I'd say yes immediately, without a second thought." I told Sophia my answer with complete certainty. Sophia was even more surprised. "But you..." "I'm just your neighbor. We just happen to be born in the same year and grew up together. Compared to your love, I am nothing." Of course I knew what Sophia wanted to say, but I didn't give her any chance. I said directly, "Hurry up and agree to Marcus. Such a good guy won't come around again. If I were a girl, I'd even proactively pursue him. He's really great. Why do I feel like you're being sarcastic?" Sophia asked puzzledly. "No, absolutely not. I'm being completely sincere." I immediately promised. "If you're not being sarcastic, then you're just brushing me off. I'm not talking to you anymore." Sophia turned away in anger. She sits in a row in front of me. Watching her retreating figure, I suddenly felt a sharp pang in my chest. Do I hate her? No. Even knowing everything, I don't actually hate her. In the last life, she was my wife for several years. Though our life was plain and we had no children, we were still husband and wife. How could there have been no feelings between us? Besides, we're not just husband and wife. We're childhood sweethearts who grew up together barefoot. In fact, not only do I not hate her, I actually feel very guilty toward her. In the previous life, if I hadn't ruined her relationship with Marcus, she wouldn't have stayed so resentful. Besides, even if she had ended up with Marcus, she wouldn't necessarily have been unhappy. Although Marcus was a poor student, who says marrying a poor student means no happiness? The reality is that among poor students, some have very high emotional intelligence. Many thrive in society and even become big bosses, while bookworms like me end up working for them. Since I've been given a second life, I naturally hope to live it differently. And with Sophia, in my last life, I owed her too much. In this life, I will repay her in full. So not only won't I break them up, I'll fan the flames. Soon, it was time to get out of school. Sophia and I walked home together. She looked angry the whole way, deliberately ignoring me and even quickening her pace to try to shake me off. Seeing this, I caught up and said, "Weren't you supposed to go find Marcus and say yes to him?" "Ethan." Sophia stopped in anger, stomping her foot and looking at me angrily. "What do you mean by that? I mean, Marcus is truly a good man. You should accept him. You'll definitely be happy together with him." I said with a sincere expression, "You're crazy." Sophia was furious and spat at me. I looked at Sophia, stunned. This doesn't match the plot of my previous life. In the last life, when Sophia asked for my opinion, I answered the opposite. I disagreed with Sophia and Marcus dating. I analyzed the various pros and cons for her and hoped she'd focus on her studies, waiting until college to fall in love. But Sophia still didn't listen to me and ended up dating Marcus anyway. "So what's going on now?" I looked at Sophia puzzled and asked, "Why are you scolding me? I want you to be with Marcus. This is for your own good." "You're talking nonsense." Sophia grew angrier. "We're about to take the university entrance exams. You don't encourage me to study seriously for them, but instead you encourage me to fall in love. How is that for my own good? Sounds unreliable." I said speechlessly. "Isn't that something I should be saying?" "Yeah, but you didn't say anything." Sophia shouted. "This!" I was completely speechless, looked at Sophia again. "Do you want to be with Marcus or not?" "No," Sophia answered curtly. "Are you sure?" I asked in disbelief. "I'm sure, absolutely, and definitely." Sophia, a bit impatient, gave me an answer completely different from the previous life, then angrily turned and left. I stayed where I was, disheveled in the wind. What's going on? This isn't right. Could it be that because I was too eager to stir things up, it backfired? This won't do. I have to make Sophia and Marcus get together to fulfill the regrets Sophia held in her previous life. The next day at school, I waited for Marcus at the gate. The school forbids riding motorcycles, but Marcus still rode his motorcycle to school every day. That flashy scene really made him seem cool and charismatic. Seeing that scene, I think I can somewhat understand why Sophia liked Marcus in my previous life. A young man like him, carefree and unconventional, truly stands out compared to the exam day atmosphere of university entrance. He gives off a refreshing, pleasing vibe. Perhaps those traits hold a special attraction for girls. I watched Marcus ride his motorcycle into the school, and I even heard a few girls whispering nearby. "Wow, that's Marcus, right? So handsome." I heard he's been pursuing Sophia from class 2 lately. What's so great about Sophia? She's just got a pretty face. If you ask me, she's nothing special. Exactly. Hearing some girls gossiping, I hurriedly ran to the parking canopy. Marcus is about 1.85 meters tall, half a head taller than me, with a head of glossy black long hair. Cool and handsome like that basketball star. "You're Marcus, right?" I stepped forward and asked. Marcus's gaze flickered, and I felt it was very cold. "Who are you?" Marcus asked. "I'm Sophia's classmate." I smiled and said, "I heard you're pursuing Sophia, and you confessed to her." "What do you mean?" Marcus stared at me, speaking with some anger. "You like her too. You're here to declare war on me, aren't you?" "A misunderstanding. I'm not here to declare war. I'm here to help you win over Sophia." I hurriedly explained. "Ridiculous. We don't even know each other." "Why would you be so kind?" Marcus sneered. "I think you've got ulterior motives." "Absolutely not." I was speechless. Matchmaking must be a hard job these days. How do you please either side? Then give me one reason. Marcus stared at me and asked. His gaze felt oppressive. I frowned and said, "Actually, I'm Sophia's neighbor. She grew up with me, and I know a lot of people like her. Sooner or later she'll fall in love, but I just hope she finds someone better, and you are that someone better. Just that simple." Marcus looked at me and smiled confidently, then tossed his flowing long hair as if he himself believed he was the most handsome guy. Just that simple. Seeing Marcus so confident, I was completely relieved. "So how you plan to help me?" Marcus asked. I immediately took out the guide I had written and handed it to Marcus. "This is the campus beauty guide I put together last night. It recorded Sophia's hobbies, favorite animals, favorite foods, favorite drinks, and so on. With this guide, and considering how handsome you already are, I think your chances of winning Sophia over have increased by 300%. Marcus took my school beauty guide and glanced through it for a moment, his eyes suddenly shining. Bro, if I manage to win Sophia, you'll be my benefactor. Seeing Marcus appreciate it so much, I happily added, remember to treat her well. Don't worry, brother. Marcus took the strategy like a treasure and accepted it. I'll remember this favor. If you run into any trouble in the future, you can come to me. I won't refuse. Okay. After saying goodbye to Marcus, I returned to the classroom. I thought to myself that with this strategy in hand, Marcus should have Sophia in the bag. Marcus was also very helpful. By the afternoon, he had someone deliver Sophia's favorite milk tea and snacks, along with a love letter. I thought Sophia would be pleased, but after she read the letter, she tore it up immediately. Not only that, she looked displeased and brought the milk tea and the torn letter all the way over to me. This is from Marcus to you. Why are you giving it to me? I asked. Is it not okay for me to dislike it? Sophia looked at me displeased and shouted. This is obviously your favorite vanilla flavor. I said, so it really is you. Sophia glared at me. I quickly covered my mouth. Damn, I'd been found out. You were the one who told Marcus I like these, weren't you? Sophia asked displeased. No, it's a misunderstanding. I thought Marcus and you just have that kind of rapport, so he guessed casually and knew your preferences. I pretended to be genuinely clueless. Are you trying to fool a 3-year-old? Sophia asked with a face full of disbelief. How could this be fooling you? I shook my head and said, I'm only making a guess. You guessed pretty accurately then. Sophia obviously didn't believe it. I thought for a moment and said, could there be a possibility that all of this is because Marcus likes you so much? To win you over, he put countless efforts into researching your preferences. Saying it like that, Marcus is actually quite lovesick. How touching. Sophia ignored my spiel completely, gave me a glare, and said, I advise you to pack up your thoughts and focus on your test papers. The mock exam is coming up. If you flunk it again, your mom will kill you. After saying that, Sophia paid me no more attention. I was utterly puzzled. This is completely different from the plot of the previous life. Where exactly did it go wrong? I had the walkthrough ready. Couldn't it help Marcus win Sophia over? I was puzzled the whole day. After school, Sophia and I went home together, passing through the shortcut alley. As soon as we entered, we saw Marcus standing there alone, striking a dashing pose with a flower in his mouth that looked like it had been picked from somewhere. Seeing Sophia approach, Marcus slicked back his hair stylishly, then dropped to one knee. Sophia, I've liked you for a long time. Before Marcus finished his confession, Sophia walked straight over as if she hadn't seen him at all. Marcus looked completely bewildered. Same here. What should we do? Marcus looked at me and asked. Be persistent. She doesn't like people who give up halfway or lack determination. Good luck. I encouraged him immediately. Thank you. Marcus nodded and chased after Sophia again. I just stood there watching. Very quickly, smack. Marcus, who hadn't said much, was slapped by Sophia. Then Sophia stormed off angrily, leaving Marcus standing there dazed in the wind. When I stepped forward, Marcus was furious. Ethan, what's going on? I followed your instructions exactly, and I even consulted your guide. This situation is a bit complicated. It exceeded my expectations. I said, You're not messing with me, are you? Marcus asked with a displeased look. What's in it for me if I fool you? I asked in return. That's true, you are helping me. Marcus nodded, then said, But Sophia just isn't into me at all. What should I do? I also fell into contemplation. I completely don't get it. In the last life, Marcus caught up to Sophia with ease. What on earth is different in this life? Oh, whatever. I've long heard she's hard to win over. If you ask me, I probably don't stand a chance with her either. I might as well keep being my chasing the wind self. Chasing Sophia isn't realistic. I don't think she's my type. Marcus shook his head repeatedly, ready to give up. Seeing that, I got angry. Bastard, you're a man. How can you give up so easily? You dare yell at me. Marcus looked at me with a face of shock. I'm not only going to yell at you. I'm going to beat you up too. I was angry at his lack of grit and shouted, no wonder Sophia doesn't think much of you. Someone like you who gives up at the slightest setback. Don't even talk about Sophia. I don't respect you either. My words seemed to wake Marcus up instantly. He looked at me with a serious face. Brother, thanks for that wake-up call. I know what I need to do now. Brother, wait for good news from me. Marcus dropped those words and ran off quickly. I didn't really know what Marcus had understood. I just hoped he'd work harder. After all, someone once said it. The world doesn't favor those who reap without sowing, but it won't let down anyone who works hard. In the following days, Marcus did not disappoint me. He persisted every day, trying all kinds of different ways to confess and give gifts. However, I don't know where it went wrong. Sophia ignored all of it and turned around to hand me every gift Marcus had given her, saying it was all trouble I had brought her way, so I had to help deal with it. That day, Marcus faced his, I don't even know how many times anymore, rejection. After Sophia left, Marcus looked at me with an angry face. Bro, your strategy is completely unreliable. Don't give up yet. It must be wrong somewhere. Let me think it through carefully. I encouraged him. I'm not going to trust you anymore. Marcus shouted. Right. A light went on in my mind and I said, I get it. Sophia likes to make friends through poetry. In other words, maybe your love letter wasn't good enough. You need to write love letters that are as beautiful as poetry. That might move her. Is that so? Hearing my words, Marcus' face lit up as well. It must be like that. I glanced at Marcus and said unhappily, but that has nothing to do with you anymore. You don't believe me anymore, do you? No, I want to believe you once more. Marcus grabbed me with an excited face, but I'm not good at writing poetry, especially love poems. I definitely can't do those. How about this? You help me? No. I refused outright. Marcus immediately grinned cheekily. Good buddy. Huh? I sneered. A poem and a Coke, how about it? Marcus asked, how can love be so materialistic? I really look down on you. I glanced at Marcus with displeasure, then nodded and said, but since you're being so sincere about it, I'll reluctantly agree. Great, Marcus exclaimed with joy. With your literary talent plus my sincerity, this will definitely work. Over the next few days, I wrote a poem for Marcus every day, and Marcus copied each one and gave it to Sophia. As expected, this time, after reading them, Sophia didn't tear them up. Instead, she kept all the poems. Seeing that, I immediately shared the good news with Marcus. Marcus rejoiced as well upon hearing it, tears in his eyes as he said that his sleepless nights of hard thinking and effort had finally paid off. I was speechless. Wasn't it clearly me who had worked so hard? You were just copying it down. How hard could that be? Of course, I'm not going to quibble with Marcus either. As long as I can get them together, I've achieved my goal. 1 week later, feeling that the time was right, Marcus was bursting with confidence. Still that familiar alley, still that familiar spot, still that familiar pose. Marcus confessed again and was rejected mercilessly again. Watching Marcus being turned down for the umpteenth time, looking utterly despondent, I could almost hear that song. Snowflakes flutter, the north wind sighs. This time, it wasn't only Marcus who couldn't do it anymore. Even I couldn't. What exactly went wrong? Things that were so easy in the last life, why are they so difficult in this one? Could it be that my fanning the flames not only had no effect, but actually made the whole thing backfire? If it really backfired because of me, then isn't this life different from the last? Thinking of that, I had no mind to bother with the utterly despondent Marcus. I ran home quickly. I threw down my books. I immediately went next door and knocked on the door. The one who opened the door was Sophia's mother. Auntie, Sophia is back, right? I asked. It's Ethan, isn't it? Sophia is at home, come on in. Mrs. Taylor said with a smile. Thank you. Our families have been neighbors for 20 years. We're especially close, so I didn't bother with formalities and came into the study as if it were my own. In the study, Sophia was doing her homework. I still remember the previous life. At this time, Sophia had already completely fallen for Marcus. At this hour, she should have been going crazy with Marcus. But now, Sophia was diligently studying. Ahem, asterisk. I walked behind Sophia and deliberately coughed twice. But Sophia still ignored me. I coughed again. Same experience again. I had to go around to stand in front of Sophia. I need to tell you something. Sophia finally looked up at me. Spit it out if you've got something to say. Fart it out if you've got one. How rude, I said discontentedly. Are you going to say it or not? If you're not, don't disturb me while I'm taking the test. Sophia shouted. Fine, I'll say it. I looked at Sophia intently and asked directly, You really don't like Marcus? I think he's actually pretty great. If that's all you want to say, you can leave. Sophia lowered her head and continued doing her homework. Seeing this, I grew anxious. Why is that? I remember you clearly liked Marcus. A lot. Even to the point of being crazy in love. What did you say? Sophia looked at me with a face of surprise. I quickly covered my mouth. Oh no, I had let it slip. Sophia and Marcus getting together happened in the previous life. It didn't happen in this life. Say what you just said again. Sophia looked at me in surprise. I realized something was wrong and immediately wanted to leave. When I reached the study door, I heard Sophia's voice behind me. You were reborn too? I stood frozen, turned to look at Sophia. Reborn? Too? Could it be that she was reborn as well? Could Sophia have been reborn too? How is that possible? I looked at Sophia in shock, my face unbelieving. You too? Hearing my response, a tear fell from Sophia's eye. I am. This. I couldn't believe any of this. Not only me, Sophia couldn't believe it either. Then Sophia walked up to me, took my hand, and started walking. I didn't know where she was taking me, but my mind was blank in that moment, so I just followed her outside. In the living room, Sophia's mother, Mrs. Taylor, was mopping the floor. Seeing Sophia grab my hand and pull me toward the door, she looked surprised. Hey, you two? Mom, I have something to do. I'll be back later. Before Mrs. Taylor could ask, Sophia led me out of the house. Mrs. Taylor looked puzzled and bewildered. They're holding hands already? Completely ignoring that I'm here? Since when did this happen? Outside the residential complex, Sophia pulled my hand and kept running. I followed along. In a daze, many memories from my previous life came back to me. In my previous life, I knew I had an incurable disease and wouldn't live long, so I asked her for a divorce. That day, she wasn't angry. Instead, she grabbed me and pulled me out of the house. Just like now, we kept running. In the end, we arrived at a maple park and climbed to the mountaintop. She said, Darkness cannot cover the earth forever. The sun will always appear. Light might come tomorrow. Don't give up. Thinking of all of this, I looked at the surrounding street again. Everything seemed both changed and unchanged. The only difference was that back then she and I were 30 and now we were 18. I didn't know how long I'd been running. Sophia and I were both panting. We had already reached the top of Maple Leaf Park. Darkness cannot cover the earth forever. The sun will appear. Light may come tomorrow. Don't give up. Sophia said to me. At that moment, I completely broke down in tears. I'm a grown man, tears streaming down my face. She really was reborn just like me. Why? I cried as I looked at Sophia and asked. Because I'm your wife. Sophia looked at me and smiled. Her smile that night was so brilliant and radiant. But I was quite puzzled. Before I could voice the question, Sophia reached out and covered my mouth. You want to ask why I liked Marcus in my previous life, right? You want to ask if the last thing I said to you before I died in my previous life was... I looked at Sophia and nodded silently, waiting for her answer. Because, Sophia said, looking at me, I never liked Marcus at all in my previous life. Impossible. My name is Dao. No matter whether it's this life or the last, the person I love is you. Sophia looked at me and said, the reason I ended up with Marcus in the last life was actually because I liked you, and you, this dummy, just never understood my feelings. I wanted an answer from you. So to provoke you, I went to Marcus and had him cooperate with a stage performance. It was all to show you, to test whether you truly care about me. But I didn't expect you to be so dull and so stupid, completely unable to see it, and you even told my parents about me being in a relationship. I was almost beaten to death. Hearing this explanation, I stepped back in surprise. Is that so? I looked closely at Sophia, somewhat unable to believe it. Could it be that it was all just my self-righteousness? But what did you mean by the words you said to me before I died? I looked at Sophia and asked, "So I'm about to die and you still want to lie to me one more time? What's the point of that?" "I want to lie to you," Sophia said. "Why?" I asked. "Because the doctor said there was no hope for you. I didn't want you to continue suffering." Sophia looked at me, caressing my face, and said, "After you died, I would have followed you, but I didn't expect that when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to 18, and even more unexpected was that you had returned as well." I looked at Sophia, my thoughts muddled for a moment. But one thing I did understand. In my previous life before I died, Sophia had told a well-intentioned lie. It turned out it was all my own self-righteousness. Sophia had always loved me, and even after I died, she followed me. How could you be so foolish? I could no longer hold back. I clutched Sophia and wept bitterly. "I'm very grateful now. If it weren't for that choice, how would we have met again?" Sophia whispered in my ear. I smiled. She smiled too. Our smiles were mixed with tears. We cried while laughing, laughed while crying. After a long while, Sophia let go of me and, a little flushed, asked, "Are you still trying to set me up with Marcus now?" "No, never again." I smiled at Sophia and pinched her cute little ear. "Goose." Sophia pushed me away. After some playful roughhousing, we sat on the grass, and Sophia quietly leaned against my shoulder. "We'll definitely see tomorrow's sun, won't we?" "I'll stay with you." Sophia nodded vigorously. "Then we won't go back tonight." I said, Sophia nodded. "But if we don't return at night, will Mom and Dad beat us to death?" I said anxiously, "People who've already faced death once. Are you still afraid of a little pain like this?" Sophia said with a smile, "We won't go back until we see the sunrise." "Okay." I smiled and nodded. We kept waiting. By midnight, since we hadn't eaten dinner and were very hungry, and the night was quite chilly, Sophia's stomach was growling with hunger. Seeing this, I took off my coat and draped it over her, then said, "Wait for me, I'll be right back." "Where are you going?" Sophia asked. I walked away without looking back. Along the way, it felt like I had endless energy. I ran out onto the street and bought 2 pancakes. When I ran back up to the mountaintop, I didn't see Sophia waiting in the same spot. "Sophia?" I anxiously looked around. "Don't shout." At that moment, a voice came from the side. Turning my head, it was Sophia's parents, Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor. They walked over with Sophia, staring at me with gloomy faces. They looked very displeased. "Too young to be behaving like this." Mr. Taylor looked at me angrily and said, "Who taught you this?" I sneaked a glance at Sophia, standing behind Mr. Taylor. She stuck her tongue out at me, signaling that I was doomed. I knew things were in trouble, so I lowered my head and said, "Mr. Taylor, it's not what you think. Actually, Sophia and I just wanted to watch the sunrise, to see this natural phenomenon, which is what the physics teacher mentioned." "Your physics teacher told you to watch the sunrise?" Mr. Taylor snapped. "Yeah, the physics teacher said that the essence of science is often the simplest principles. Many great inventions actually come from nature, just like the sun rising and setting. Maybe that's the starting point of a great invention." I said solemnly. Mr. Taylor, of course, didn't buy it, angrily saying, "You abducted my daughter, and you still have the nerve to make that excuse. See if I don't beat you up." Saying that, Mr. Taylor started looking around for something to beat me with. Before he could find anything, Sophia, what a betrayal, had already handed over a bamboo stick. "Dad here. Hit him hard." "You're no good either. I'll deal with you when we get home." Mr. Taylor grabbed the bamboo stick and was about to beat me. I couldn't just wait to be beaten. "Sophia, I went through so much trouble to buy pancakes for you, and you hand a stick to your dad? I'm breaking off our friendship." Leaving those words behind, I grabbed the 2 bags of pancakes and ran like the wind. I ran all the way home without stopping, then went to the study, opened the test paper, and instantly became a perfect student. Not half an hour later, my parents who had gone out looking for me returned. Of course, Mr. Taylor and Mrs. Taylor came back with them. I could hear them chattering in the living room. Then my dad grabbed the family feather duster and charged into the study. "You little brat, take this feather duster." A good beating was, naturally, inevitable. The pain kept me awake all night. The next morning, I woke up with dark circles under my eyes and glared resentfully at my dad, who was eating breakfast. A rabbit doesn't eat the grass near its own burrow. Mr. Taylor treats you well, and what do? Go and set your sights on his daughter? Dad snorted coldly. "Dad, there's another saying, don't let rich water flow into outsiders' fields." I reminded him. "How dare you talk back?" Dad immediately flew into a rage and started looking for the feather duster again. No one is better suited than me to hold this divine tool. I was the first to find a feather duster and proactively offered it with both hands. Dad paused for a moment. "Looks like you finally have some sense. In my last life, I left early and didn't fulfill any filial duties to my parents." Thinking of the kind of pain when parents with white hair see off a child with black hair, I naturally felt miserable. In this life, I have a chance to make amends, so I of course cherish this family bond immensely. "Dad, if you want to hit me, then hit me." I looked at my father and said, "But I promise after this time, I will never let this feather duster touch me again." "What?" Dad snapped. "You still want to ruin it?" "No." I imitated Bruce Lee's gesture and wagged my finger, saying, "I'm telling you, from this moment on your son will strive hard. I'm going to get into Harvard and Stanford, make you smile every day, and never disgrace you." Dad was stunned. It seemed my aura had intimidated her. The feather duster couldn't bring itself to land on me. Mom beside me was also stunned, grinning with her mouth open. "Since when did my son become so sensible?" She immediately walked up to me, looking me over from every angle. "Are you really my biological son?" "Mom." I was left speechless. Could a biological son be fake? That's not right. How can you have such a grand goal? Mom grabbed her head, looking at me puzzled. My own son has never been so ambitious. This time I was speechless. So this is how Mom and Dad were adorable when they were young. "Mom, just give me a chance. Let me be your pride, okay?" I asked. "In that case, have your father put away the feather duster first, and we'll see how you perform." Mom asked with a smile. I grinned happily, then looked at Dad. "You monster. Hurry up and put away your magic." Dad froze for a moment, then raised the feather duster. "Damn it. Looks like I have no choice but to give you a good thrashing." Another round of family discipline, and I still couldn't escape it. But to me, it was happiness. After breakfast, I went outside and happened to see Mr. Taylor from next door leaving with Sophia. Seeing me, Sophia smiled, then said, "Oh my, the neighbors were so loud last night, like they were slaughtering pigs. I couldn't sleep." "Heartless." I snorted coldly. Mr. Taylor's fierce gaze immediately shifted over. I shrank my neck in fright. "Dad, that last night was a misunderstanding. What did you call me?" Mr. Taylor widened his eyes again. I was so frightened my face went pale. "It's over." In the last life, I got used to calling him that, and in this life often couldn't break the habit. Now I can only call him Mr. Taylor. "You little brat. Looks like your dad went easy on you last night, huh?" Mr. Taylor glared and shouted, "Since your dad can't discipline you, I'll take care of you myself." "No, please." I hurriedly begged. "Mr. Taylor, it's a misunderstanding." "You already called me Dad, and it's still a misunderstanding, Mr." Taylor raised his hand angrily and said, "Are you waiting until you marry my daughter to say it wasn't a misunderstanding?" For a moment, I was at a loss for words. Just as Mr. Taylor's hand was about to come down, Sophia said, "Dad, enough. He was already hit hard by his parents last night and is pretty pitiful. If you keep hitting him, I think he'll end up in the hospital. Save this slap for next time, okay?" Mr. Taylor snorted coldly and looked at Sophia. Don't forget what you said and the promise you made. Dad, I know I'm leaving. Sophia waved her hand. Take care on the road. Mr. Taylor called out. Got it. Sophia left grinning, her eyes full of triumph. Watching that triumphant look, I felt 1,000 grievances. Why was I the one who got hit while Sophia was fine? I couldn't help but give Mr. Taylor a dissatisfied look. Mr. Taylor immediately raised his hand. Look again. Mr. Taylor, bye-bye. I hurriedly ran away. After I left, my home's door opened, and Dad and Mom looked at Mr. Taylor. Come in quickly and let's talk. You really want to become in-laws with me? Mr. Taylor shouted. My son is aiming for Harvard and Stanford. He's more than a match for your daughter. Mom said proudly. Your son said that too? Mr. Taylor looked astonished. What for? My mom asked. My daughter said the same thing. Mr. Taylor exclaimed. So sensible. I even suspect she isn't my biological daughter. The proud smile on my mom's face disappeared, and she then said with a grave expression, could it be that the two of them conspired together to fool us? Dad instantly flew into a rage. Ungrateful son. If I'd known, I never should have accepted the divine power. Under the building, I caught up with Sophia. Your dad actually didn't hit you last night. What trick did you use? Nothing special. I just said that I definitely won't date anyone before getting into college. Sophia looked at my panda eyes and laughed. Besides, I told him I was definitely going to prepare for the college entrance exams with all my might, aiming at least for the level of Harvard and Stanford. My dad was so moved that he cried. You really said that too. I nodded. Reborn, we were no longer naive. Of course, we weren't as curious about the things of adolescence. For us, getting into the top universities was the real joy. As for love, we went through the partings and deaths of our previous lives. For us, as long as we can still see one another, see that the other is well, we are already very content. You said that too? Sophia asked. Yes, I said that too, but I still ended up getting beaten. I said speechlessly, you girls have it easy. Just admit a mistake and it's fine. Your dad wouldn't bear hitting his little darling. But my dad wouldn't be so lenient. He'd beat me senseless. You deserved it. You must have talked back. Sophia said, your dad is actually quite reasonable. You should go along with his temper. What nerve you have to say that? It was you who dragged me to Maple Leaf Park last night. I said discontentedly. Hearing that, Sophia stopped walking and looked at me seriously. What's wrong? I asked. We will definitely see it. Sophia looked at me and said solemnly. Of course I knew what she was talking about. In my previous life, I contracted an incurable disease and didn't make it to my 30th birthday. And now, although I've been reborn, will I still end up like last time and not live past 30? I've decided, once I get into university, I'll study medicine. Sophia looked at me with a serious expression and said, then I'll study medicine too. I said, no. Sophia shook her head. You should study the subject you love most. You just need to happily live each day, and I'll take care of your health. Hearing Sophia say that made my heart ache. So what if I'm reborn? I still can't escape that fate. I walked up to Sophia. Promise me, this life don't leave with me. Our dad and mom are still counting on you. After saying that, I didn't wait for her to answer and turned to leave, because I didn't want her to see my tears. Didn't want her to feel sad. I really didn't want to, not even a little. For the next while, Sophia and I did not have the usual things couples have. Every day, I could look up and see her, and she could look back and see me. For us, that was enough. We both poured all our attention into our studies, fully preparing for the university entrance exams. In the previous life, we had already been husband and wife and shared the same goals. So our relationship needed no distractions. After some time, the test results were released. I got first in the class and 12th in the grade. Sophia got second in the class and 26th in the grade. Looking at my score, Sophia was quite displeased. Last time's test, you were still behind me. Then you definitely haven't tried hard enough. I asked with a smile. That's not true. Sophia protested. I clearly spent more time than you did. That remains to be seen. I said confidently, not necessarily. Sophia immediately reached into my pile of books and rummaged through them, then found a book called something like Jean Something May. I was instantly embarrassed. Actually, I didn't have time to read this book either. A classmate strongly recommended it and practically shoved it at me. They say the ancients all liked to read this book, and I was curious what could have been so appealing to them, so I decided to take a look. I didn't expect it would still escape Sophia's notice. "How did you even find this?" I looked at Sophia awkwardly and said, "Actually, save your excuses. If you didn't read those kinds of books, you should be in the top 10 of the grade." Sophia said, somewhat exasperated, as if disappointed in my wasted potential. I gave Sophia a long look, then forcefully shoved the book at my deskmate. "This book is good. You keep it and treasure it." My deskmate looked bewildered, but still curiously opened it. After that, my deskmate's grades dropped several places. But that's another story. After Sophia scolded me for not fighting for myself, I worked even harder, pouring all my attention into my studies. That day after school, in the familiar little alley, Marcus appeared again. Same hairstyle, still so cool and handsome. He wanted to say a few words to Sophia, but Sophia shot me a glare and then walked away. "Bro, I really appreciate what you did," Marcus said meaningfully. "Because of me, Sophia must have put you through a lot, right?" "Brother, if anyone understands me, it's you, Marcus." I sighed, slinging an arm over Marcus's shoulder, calling him brother. "Brother, tell me, what exactly is your reason?" Marcus asked. What do you mean?" I asked in confusion. "Isn't it Sophia?" Marcus frowned. "You haven't forgotten about your brother's lifelong matter, have you?" I looked embarrassed. More than just forgotten, I'd long since cast it out of my mind. Besides, that brat had the wicked idea of making a move on my future wife. How could that be allowed? Sigh. These past few days I've been painfully reflecting on my actions. Marcus didn't notice my awkward glance at all, talking to himself. Am I not handsome enough? Or not romantic enough? Can't express my feelings? I just can't figure it out. I'm obviously the most handsome man in the whole school. So how could she, Sophia, not even look at me? But this time after the test, I figured it out. I looked at Marcus in surprise. "You figured it out again?" "The test," Marcus said, looking excitedly at me. "The grades." "Huh?" I asked, puzzled. "Isn't this clear enough?" Marcus analyzed seriously. "Sophia's grades are second in the class and 26th in the grade. And me? I'm at the bottom of the class. In the grade my name can't even be found. This is the gap between Sophia and me. It's precisely because of that I can't get into Sophia's sight. If I were willing to study hard, work diligently every day, and raise my grades to a level that would shock Sophia, tell me, would she look at me differently? Then wouldn't I have hope, right?" I looked at Marcus in surprise. Although Sophia could never possibly like him, but his idea wasn't bad. A student shouldn't devote all their attention to their studies. If he could turn the power of love into motivation to study now, that would indeed be good. Although his motives weren't pure, his method was right. Maybe years from now, after he gets into a good university and dates a better girlfriend, he'll feel grateful for it. I didn't want to dampen his enthusiasm either, so I immediately nodded and said, "Bro, you really are a once-in-a-century talent." "You think I'm right too?" Marcus asked excitedly. "Yes, exactly right." I nodded. "But there's one more thing I'd like to ask of you." Marcus pulled me along, saying shyly, "Whatever it is, just say it. I'll agree to anything." I nodded with a smile. "Aren't you and Sophia neighbors? That means you can often study and do test papers together after school, right?" Marcus said with a smile. "If I can join too, we form a guaranteed success team for the university entrance exam. Then wouldn't we all improve together? Besides, I can take the chance to be around Sophia every day and get closer to her. Win-win." I stared at Marcus in shock. "Win-win my foot. You win, but I'm completely screwed. You, this poor student, study with me, which clearly means you want me to tutor your homework. As if that weren't enough, you also have to keep thinking about my wife. No matter how you look at it, I'm the one who gets the raw end of the deal. This Marcus, I don't know what's gotten into him." His head suddenly came to, "He's become so sly." "What for?" Marcus saw I was unhappy and asked, You think this plan isn't good? If you think it's not good, I have another backup plan. I can tell you about it. No. I hurriedly waved my hand. Don't say any more. Let's go with this plan, but I have to ask Sophia. It must get her approval. Definitely. Marcus immediately saluted me, then said devoutly, Brother, my entire future is entrusting to you. I thought to myself, I don't want a brother like you right now. I muttered in my heart, bade Marcus farewell. After returning home, I found Sophia and told her about Marcus. Sophia frowned slightly and said, I think this is a good thing. You think it's good? I asked. Of course. Marcus is complacent every day. If we can help him while improving ourselves, that's a good deed. Sophia smiled. He'll thank us later. His motives aren't pure. I said, Isn't that all because of you? Who told you to be so presumptuous and force him to set him up with me? Sophia complained. I fell into hesitation. After thinking it over carefully, I thought about the hurdle of turning 30. If I'm gone, what will Sophia do on her own? Many friends, many paths. I must pave the way for Sophia while I'm still alive. Of course, I only thought these words in my heart. I decided to agree to it. Our trio for guaranteed success on the college entrance exam was formed the next day, and the most excited was Marcus. He told everyone about it, bragging loudly. Even the homeroom teacher knew about it. For this, the head teacher also called Sophia and me into the office and earnestly spoke a lot of life lessons. It was nothing more than reminding us that this was the crucial period for the university entrance exams, and we mustn't let our studies be delayed because of a poor student. Sophia and I nodded repeatedly. Before long, it was time for another quiz. I moved up to first in the class and ninth in the grade. Sophia was second in the class and 22nd in the grade. The happiest was Marcus. He went from being in the 30s in class 6 to 21st in the class. Although he still wasn't ranked in the grade, his progress was visible to the naked eye, which drew a lot of envy. Because of this, many people began to pay attention to our guaranteed success college entrance exam study group, and countless people wanted to join. Some of them are indeed here for their studies, but most have other motives. Many are actually here to get close to the campus beauty Sophia. Of course, there's another group of girls who might be here for Marcus. After all, although Marcus isn't great academically, he has a handsome appearance and a distinctive style that attract girls. So of course I couldn't agree to these people joining. Moreover, the number of people in the group really shouldn't be too large. Having too many would disperse everyone's attention, which not only defeats the purpose of a group, but actually reduces efficiency and isn't worth the cost. As the leader of the college entrance exam guaranteed success group, I naturally had a shoulder responsibility, so I mercilessly rejected all of these people's requests to join. Because of this action of mine, I offended a lot of people. Some people began to express their dissatisfaction with me privately. Sometimes I even heard a few whispered comments. What are you so pleased about? It's just a small group, right? We'll form one tomorrow. It won't be any worse than theirs. Exactly. We don't even want to join. I think he wants to be near the school beauty every day, so he can get the first chance. That's definitely it. I also wanted to take the opportunity to get to know Marcus from class 6. That guy actually rejected my request. I'm so mad. Ignore him. What's there to be so vain about? I know people in class 6. I can ask them to introduce you to Marcus. There are many unfriendly voices, but having lived this life anew, of course I didn't take them to heart. To me, most of the people here were merely passers-by in the journey of life. However, although I didn't care about them, I had still underestimated the human heart, and a far greater disaster would therefore befall me. That day, the homeroom teacher called me into the office. I walked into the office and saw another girl sitting there. She wore glasses and looked very quiet. She seemed very excited when she saw me. Hello. Hello. I responded politely and didn't make a fuss of it. Soon, the homeroom teacher arrived, accompanied by the homeroom teacher of class 7. The homeroom teacher of class 7 looked at me and smiled. So you are Ethan? Hello, teacher, I said politely. Truly a fine-looking young man. The homeroom teacher of class 7 nodded, then looked at my homeroom teacher. The homeroom teacher politely asked me to sit down and even pour me a glass of water. "Teacher, why did you ask me to come?" I asked. "There's a national mathematics competition coming up in which elite high school students from across the country will participate." The homeroom teacher smiled at me and said, "If you can stand out in a major competition like this and achieve a good ranking, you'll have a chance to be preferentially admitted by top universities and receive a guaranteed admission slot. And if you make the top 3, you can definitely be guaranteed admission to Harvard and Stanford." I widened my eyes when I heard that, my heart thumping with excitement. "Really? Don't get excited yet," the homeroom teacher said with a smile. "The competition spots are very precious. With so many classes in our school, we only have 3 spots in total." Hearing that, I wasn't nervous at all, because I knew very clearly that if the homeroom teachers of both classes came see me, it meant they intended to give me the spot. Otherwise, why would they have gone out of their way to find me and specifically bring this up? I smiled and asked, "So teacher, what do I need to do to get the spot?" At those words, the head teacher and the teachers of class 7 smiled. The head teacher said, "It's difficult if you make it difficult, and simple if you make it simple. What are the conditions?" I asked. The head teacher pointed at the quiet young girl beside me who hadn't spoken and said, "You only need to get her to join your university entrance exam sure-win group, and in the next test raise her score into the top 50 of the grade. That spot will then belong to you." I glanced at the girl beside me. I never expected the condition to be this. This girl looks so ordinary. How could she be receiving such special treatment? Could it be that her family has a powerful background? Yes, absolutely. I took a deep breath. But on second thought, no matter how powerful this girl's family background is, it has nothing to do with me. For me, this spot is too important. Guaranteed admission to Harvard and Stanford. What an irresistible lure. It shut me up and left me with no excuse to refuse. How was it? The head teacher and the teachers of Class 7 were all smiling at me, as if they had great confidence. "Are you confident?" "I can't guarantee it," I said. "As long as you do your best, we're confident in you," the homeroom teacher said with a smile. "After all, you managed to help a poor student improve so much. Helping Olivia improve shouldn't be too hard." "All right, I'll take this job." I agreed immediately. The appeal of a guaranteed admission was just too strong. There was simply no reason to refuse. After school, I walked to the school gate with Sophia and Marcus, and the girl called Olivia was already standing here waiting. "Hello, senior." Olivia greeted me politely as soon as she saw me. Marcus and Sophia were slightly surprised and all looked toward me. "Where did you find such a pretty girl?" Marcus looked at me with a mysterious expression. "Didn't expect it. You're actually pretty impressive." "Don't talk nonsense. She was recommended by the homeroom teacher for our university entrance exam success group." I explained. "What?" Marcus shouted. "Your homeroom teacher actually forced someone into our group?" "No way, it didn't go through me. I don't agree." To be precise, it was the homeroom teacher of Class 2 and the homeroom teacher of Class 7. The two of them teamed up to shove them in. I looked at Marcus. "Are you trying to pick a fight with 2 homeroom teachers?" Marcus immediately backed down. "Forget I said anything." "Okay." Then I looked at Olivia and introduced Marcus and Sophia to her, and the 4 of us set off. On the way, Sophia and I walked ahead, while Marcus deliberately walked a bit slower, following Olivia and asking her question after question, making the poor girl blush. "Walking with me?" Sophia asked. "You actually bowed to the authorities?" "I had no choice," I said. "They were offering way too much." I said, "What is it?" Sophia asked. "National High School Mathematics Competition." I looked at Sophia and said, "Once you stand out, you'll receive priority admission slots at top universities. If you make the top 3, you can be directly recommended to Harvard and Stanford." This, Sophia's eyes widened. This was the dream of every high school student. Even she had to admit that it was simply too much to refuse. After a moment of surprise, Sophia glanced back at Olivia and said, "Who exactly is she? Her family must be pretty influential, right?" Seeing Sophia so surprised, I also looked back. I shrugged and said, "Who knows? Either way, it's none of our business." I do think Marcus is pretty enthusiastic about her. There's a chance. Sophia looked back and said, "That's true. I hope it's a good thing, not a bad one." With Olivia joining, our group became more fun. At first, Olivia was quiet and didn't like to talk, but once she warmed up, her topics opened up, and she gradually talked to us about everything. Sophia and I took turns tutoring Olivia, putting a lot of care into it. Marcus put in the same effort. Since Olivia arrived, he seemed like a different person, extraordinarily enthusiastic toward her. This enthusiasm even surpassed his passion for Sophia. Anyone could see that Marcus had truly fallen this time, and that he'd made a very big decision. But we saw through it and kept silent. And so the days passed, one after another. The test results came out again. Of course, I cared most about Olivia's scores. I didn't even have time to look closely at my own ranking. I ran straight to class 7 and found Olivia. "How did it go?" Olivia looked at me with a disappointed face. My heart sank when I saw that. She didn't make the top 50? No, not at all. I put a lot of effort into tutoring her. It wasn't just me. Sophia also invested a great deal of care. Besides, Olivia's original ranking was around 60th in the grade. With a little improvement, she could break into the top 50. How could that be? I nervously picked up the ranking list and scanned it from top to bottom. My grade ranked 5th in the year, and Sophia's was 19th. I kept looking down, and finally at 50th in the year, I saw Olivia's name. I breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Olivia, asking, "So you made the top 50, didn't you?" But Olivia said with a look of disappointment, "Marcus improved even more. He used to be ranked over 190th in the grade, and now he's 89th. He moved up by more than 100 places." Marcus's improvement shocked me too. I looked closely and indeed saw Marcus's name listed at position 89. With such rapid progress, even a professional tutor would have to give him a thumbs up. Even the Bodhisattva would shake their head in dismay. You should know, when Marcus first met me, he was ranked in the 30s in class, and his grade ranking was so low his name couldn't even be seen. I was surprised for a moment, looked at Olivia and smiled. "Don't be discouraged. You've only just joined our group. You'll improve with time." Olivia smiled at me and said, "Congratulations to you too." I chuckled happily. For now, I've only secured a spot in the competition. Whether I can stand out and make the top 3 is still unknown. "I believe you absolutely can," Olivia said confidently. "Thank you." I went straight away to the homeroom teacher's office without a word. The homeroom teacher naturally gave me a thumbs up. In the afternoon, the 4 of us came home and saw drumming and gong beating at the door. I didn't know which family was holding a wedding. It was so raucous. The 4 of us peered around curiously. But a burly man ran over and, without a word, picked me up and hugged me tightly. "Uncle, what are you doing?" I was completely stunned. "You must be Ethan, huh? I often hear my son talk about you. You're his savior. Because of you, my son now has hope of getting into university." The burly man, face beaming, gripped my hand and kept thanking me. So it turned out this person was Marcus's dad. No wonder someone came running in with all that fanfare. I turned back to look at Marcus. He seemed embarrassed by his father's behavior, as if he wanted to shrink his head into his neck. After all the hullabaloo, Marcus's dad insisted on dragging us to a restaurant to eat, saying he wanted to thank us. In the end, we refused, using the excuse that we still had to work on tests. But my parents and Sophia's parents were taken as representatives and dragged off to the restaurant. After that, I focused entirely on preparing for the math competition. In the blink of an eye, it was the 27th. The competition started tomorrow. That day, the homeroom teacher kept me after class and asked me to come to the office to go over some specific matters. I had no idea how long the teacher would keep rambling, so I told Sophia, Marcus, and Olivia to go ahead and not wait for me. Besides, the competition is tomorrow and I have a lot to prepare, so I told them I wouldn't attend the group study tonight and they should study on their own. By the time I came out of the office, it was almost 7 in the evening. At this time of winter, it grew dark very quickly. At this hour, everything around was pitch black. I was just about to leave when a classmate I didn't know walked up to me and handed me a note. What is this? I asked. I don't know either. Someone told me to pass it on to you. A classmate said. Thank you. I didn't think much of it either, just said thanks, then opened the note. It read, waiting for you in the lab, and next to it was a name, Olivia. Reading those few words, I frowned slightly. Olivia didn't go to Sophia's house. What does she want me for in the lab? I was a bit puzzled, but Olivia was a pretty good friend, so I didn't think much and went to the lab by myself. The school's labs aren't used very often, so the door locks are all broken and nobody has replaced them. I pushed open the lab door. It was pitch black inside, and I could vaguely make out a silhouette. I tried to turn on the light, but the switch wouldn't work. Olivia, I called toward the human-shaped silhouette inside. The next moment, a rumbling sound came from behind me. I turned around and saw the laboratory door suddenly shut. I was startled and hurriedly turned back. The front door had been pulled tightly shut by someone, and I couldn't open it no matter how I tried. I suddenly felt afraid. Not afraid of the darkness here, but afraid that if I couldn't get out, what would happen to tomorrow's math competition? This is something that could change my life. I absolutely cannot lose this opportunity. I don't feel I have such a deep grudge with anyone. Who exactly wants to harm me like this? Who are you? In desperation, I shouted toward the door with all my might. What do you want to do? A man's voice came from outside the door. Ethan, if anyone's to blame, it's you for not knowing your place. What do you mean? Let me out, I shouted. Still pretending, huh? The person outside called. Since that's the case, I'll be direct with you. Olivia isn't your type. You shouldn't be trying to pursue her. What? I'm hitting on Olivia? What kind of bullshit is that? I angrily knock on the door. You must be mistaken. Open the door first. We can clear this up. Olivia and I have nothing to do with each other. Ugh, the person outside shouted. Do you think I would believe that? Believe me. You have to believe me. I anxiously yanked at the door with all my strength, but I couldn't pull it open no matter what. Give up, the door is being propped with a wooden stick. Unless someone comes now and discovers you're trapped inside and opens the door from the outside, you won't be able to open it, said the person outside the door. His words nearly drove me to despair, but I couldn't give up. Although at worst I'd be trapped here for one night, and when classes resumed the next day someone would come and I'd be rescued. But I couldn't miss the math competition. I tugged the door hard again. You are just too greedy. The person outside the door said again, isn't one campus beauty, Sophia, enough for you? You actually have to compete with me for Olivia too? I don't even understand why. I'm clearly better than you. Where exactly do I lose to you? The person outside the door grew increasingly agitated. I calmed down and quietly listened to his muttering. Better than me? I'm not the fighting type of delinquent student, so the only thing he could be better than me at is academics. And I'm 5th in the grade. In other words, this person is one of the top 4 in the grade. Among the top 4, there are 2 boys and 2 girls. Outside, it's a man. So, it's either Kevin or John Bright. Kevin. He's from class 7. Kevin, the top-ranked student in the grade. How could it possibly be him? I was utterly shocked. I would never have imagined, not even in my wildest dreams, that someone who's almost as much of a bookworm as I am could do something like this. Kevin. I immediately shouted toward the door. You're Kevin, aren't you? No. Someone outside the door called. Don't pretend. If you say you're better than me, then you must be one of the top 4, and there are only 2 boys among the top 4. I said, John Bright's voice is very thin. People gave him the nickname Eunuch Zhao, so that voice can only be yours. After hearing my reasoning, it fell silent outside the door. I was afraid he would just leave, so I hurriedly called out, Kevin, hurry and open the door. If you open it now, I'll pretend none of this ever happened. Otherwise, you know what will happen. What you've done will ruin your future. Future? Kevin's anger flared even more at that, and he shouted, for people like you and me, what future could possibly be getting guaranteed admission to Harvard and Stanford? You. Hearing that, my heart dropped again. Kevin knew I had a competition tomorrow, yet he deliberately tricked me into coming and locked me in here. In other words, he intentionally set me up to sabotage my chance to attend the competition tomorrow. This guy's terrifying. My grades are clearly the top in the year. So why is this opportunity not given to me, but to you? Kevin's shout came from outside again. This isn't fair. Calm down, I called out. How am I supposed to calm down? Kevin shouted. I'm clearly better than you in everything, but I'm inferior to you in every way. The campus beauty, the class bell, they're all yours. Even the guaranteed admission spot went to you. Why? I refuse to accept it. But your grades are still the highest in the whole school. With your ability, you can definitely get in. I knew saying anything now was pointless. I could only soothe his emotions and explain the stakes to him. Hurry up and open the door. You can't let a bit of jealousy ruin your future. Think about your parents. Think about your... I spoke for a long time, but there was no sound outside anymore. Kevin had already run off. How could this happen? I sat down on the ground, powerless, my face full of despair. Knowing Kevin was already gone, I felt utterly desperate. I walked to the window. This is the school's top floor, the 6th floor. I wanted to try leaning out from here, but it was too high, and there weren't many footholds around. I'm not good at climbing either, so the chance of getting seriously hurt if I fell was certainly over 60%. I decided to take a gamble. But in the end, I thought of Sophia and my parents. Especially I thought of the last life, how I left at 30, the pain my parents felt losing a child in their old age, and how Sophia followed me into death. I suddenly felt the weight on my shoulders. I couldn't, out of a momentary impulse, disregard them. If I climbed down from here, I would have less than a 40% chance of success. The odds are too low. I carry heavy responsibilities. I still have to support my parents, and I have to watch Sophia be happy every day. Moreover, even if I enter the competition, I might not necessarily secure a guaranteed admission. Conversely, even if I lose this opportunity, it doesn't mean I won't get into a top school. All of this calmed me down. I can't gamble. This bet is completely not worth risking myself for. I leaned against the corner of the wall, sat on the floor, and became completely silent. I had been thinking the whole night. It wasn't until the next day, nearing noon, that someone came to the rooftop laboratory for class. I was released. The physics teacher looked at me in surprise and asked what had happened. I didn't say a word. Soon, I was taken to the office. When the homeroom teacher saw me, his face full of disappointment. Do you know how precious this spot is? Do you know what kind of opportunity you've missed? I said with my head lowered. Teacher Zhang said you were locked in the rooftop laboratory. What exactly happened? The homeroom teacher asked with scowl. I heard this and looked at the homeroom teacher. Can I refuse to say? What do you mean? The homeroom teacher frowned. If I say it out loud, I might ruin that person's whole life. I looked at the homeroom teacher and said, but he's a good kid. I don't want him to fall into the abyss because of this. You brat. The homeroom teacher glared at me angrily and shouted, have you become a saint? No. I shook my head and said, everyone makes mistakes. Even saints can err, and I just want to give her a chance. That's all. You saint. You're so kind. The homeroom teacher snapped. So what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to explain this to the school? Just tell the truth. Say you're unwilling to reveal who that person is. I said, all right. Actually, the real situation is that after I was tricked inside, that person locked the door, so I didn't get a good look at what they looked like. So you're not really withholding a report then, right? The homeroom teacher laughed angrily. Yes. I nodded. Ha. I just don't believe you don't know who that person is. The homeroom teacher, still unconvinced, said, all right then, you tell me who you suspect that person is, and I won't report it. Old man, I really don't know who he is, and I can't blame someone just based on suspicion. I shook my head and said, if you're not satisfied, then investigate it yourself. I left those words and walked away. Who gave you permission to leave? The homeroom teacher shouted, but I ignored him. I went downstairs. My parents had already heard the news and came anxiously. Not only them, but Sophia's parents had also arrived. They each asked me what was wrong. I told them the whole story, then said I was frightened, tired, and just wanted to rest and not talk anymore. My mom, seeing me like that, didn't ask further and took me home to rest. The reason I didn't say Kevin's name wasn't because I'm some saintly person choosing magnanimity. It was actually the result of a night's careful consideration. First, Kevin's grievance from last night is vivid in my mind. The world really is unfair to everyone. Many people may have experienced similar injustices, but that doesn't mean the person treated unfairly by fate is beyond redemption. Kevin was simply too young. He chose the wrong way to protest. Second, from the perspective of practical interests, Kevin did that to me, so I immediately retaliated. What did I gain? Someone stabs you in the back, you stab them back, then what? Did you gain any real benefit? What was meant to be lost has already been lost. Is mutual revenge still worth it? To be clearer, this Kevin is probably not thinking straight right now. He's likely teetering on the edge of madness, and someone like that is extremely dangerous at the moment. If I expose him now, I won't gain anything. On the contrary, I might put him at risk of being expelled from school, which would ruin his life and utterly destroy his future. Could that drive him to desperation? Would a person pushed to the brink fight to the death and do something even more insane? If this matter drives Kevin completely insane and he does something even less bearable for me, then it will truly be too late to regret it. I can be brave myself, but I'm afraid of hurting the people around me. For example, would Kevin go after Sophia? If something like that happens, there's no way I could ever bear it. This is the harsh reality of vested interests. Our ancestors long ago taught us wisdom on how to handle this. When will revenge ever end? Where one can spare others, one should spare them. I believe my choice was not wrong, and from the standpoint of self-interest, by exposing him I harmed him but gained nothing. On the contrary, not outing him might actually maximize my advantage. He would thereby be left open to blackmail. He would owe me a favor. Even if he didn't feel indebted, he would feel guilty. He is a person, not a devil. Being a person means having feelings. I rested at home all day. In the evening, Sophia, Olivia, and Marcus all came to my house to visit me, and, while they were at it, made up today's lessons for me. After 10 o'clock, Marcus and Olivia left. Sophia and I saw them down to the stairs. Watching Marcus and Olivia's relationship get better and better, I realized that Kevin must have misunderstood. It was clearly Marcus who was hitting on Olivia, but he mistakenly thought it was me. I'm completely innocent and got dragged into this. You surely know who that person is, right? Sophia suddenly asked. Kevin, I didn't want to hide anything from Sophia, so I told her the answer directly. Sophia listened in disbelief. Kevin is one of the top students at our school year after year. How could he dare to do something so outrageous? Because of you. I looked at Sophia and teased. What does that have to do with me? Sophia asked curiously. I pretended to be mysterious, looked up at the moon, and, imitating the ancients, said, since ancient times, beautiful women have often brought disaster. You hate. Sophia pouted and punched me once. What does that have to do with me? You're so pretty. Kevin has a crush on you, and I'm his rival. Wouldn't he hate me for that? I smiled and said, Impossible. Sophia's eyes flashed, and she pointed at me, saying, You'd better tell me the truth. It's definitely not because of that. Speak up. I won't tell you. A rare moment of peace. Sophia chased after me the whole way, and I felt very happy. Missing out on the guaranteed admission opportunity didn't affect me much. What I treasure most are the loved ones around me. Their health and happiness are my greatest wish. Sophia and I joked and tussled all the way. When we got hungry, we went to the street to eat some spaghetti. Sophia kept pestering me about the matter the whole time, but I simply wouldn't tell her. When we returned to the building complex downstairs again, from a distance I saw a frail figure. I stopped and grabbed Sophia's hand. What's the matter? Sophia patted my hand. I pointed to the figure in the distance. The answer has arrived. Kevin. Sophia was furious. She shrugged my hand off, then stormed over to Kevin and slapped him across the face. Why? Facing Sophia's anger, Kevin kept his head down. I'm sorry, I was just carried away. Kevin cried. Perhaps in that moment he felt fear too. Does an apology help at all? Sophia looked at Kevin and called out, "If saying sorry worked, would there still be any need to distinguish between right and wrong in this world?" "I'm sorry. I know apologizing doesn't solve anything. I know I'm terribly guilty, but I sob. Kevin was crying with tear-filled eyes, repeatedly confessing. Sophia was very angry and launched a fierce scolding at Kevin. I stood aside and watched quietly, saying not a word, letting Sophia vent her anger at him. Although I chose not to report him, he was indeed in the wrong and deserved to be criticized. And in fact, with the college entrance exam approaching, Sophia has been under a lot of academic pressure lately, and this also conveniently gives her an outlet to vent at, killing two birds with one stone. Soon, Kevin couldn't bear Sophia's accusations any longer and knelt in front of me. "I'm sorry, I've figured it out. I won't shirk responsibility. If you tell the teacher my name now, I won't resent you." Sob. Kevin knelt and confessed. "Why are you being so hypocritical?" Sophia called out in displeasure. "You know full well Ethan didn't betray you today, and he won't tomorrow either. So why say something like that?" "Precisely because he didn't betray me, I feel even more guilty," Kevin said through tears. "If Ethan had spoken my name today, I would have felt justified." Hearing that, the ferocious Sophia froze for a moment. Only then did she understand why. Even though I knew it was Kevin, I hadn't exposed him. Sophia immediately gave me a look. That look seemed to say, "Retreat to advance. You're doing just fine." I smiled and gave a thankful, flattering look. Then I walked over to Kevin and helped him up. "It's okay. Actually, being locked in the lab with you last night gave me a lot to think about. I think you're like me. We're all pitiable people." "You." Kevin looked at me in surprise, seemingly not understanding what I meant. "Actually, I've got an illness. I won't live past 30. I said, looking at Kevin. "What?" Kevin's eyes widened instantly. I gave a nonchalant laugh. "Now do you understand why I said, everyone is pitiable? Strictly speaking, you're much luckier than I am, aren't you?" "What kind of illness is it?" Kevin asked in surprise. "Why don't you get treated? If it could be cured, do you think I wouldn't want to live a few more years?" I shook my head. Kevin was completely dumbfounded. The look in his eyes was full of sympathy. "Keep this secret from me. Don't tell anyone. Even my parents don't know about this. Only you and Sophia know." I looked at Kevin and said sincerely. "But," Kevin, eyes full of tears again, said, "I'm sorry. I was jealous that you got the spot to enter the math competition. I'm really not a person. I'm an animal." "Wow." Kevin slapped himself several times while crying. I smiled and stopped Kevin, saying, "You don't need to blame yourself. This has nothing to do with you. This is my fate." Kevin was moved to tears. I no longer needed to say much. He already owed me a huge favor. "By the way, why don't you join our college entrance exam victory team?" I looked at Kevin and extended the invitation. "With you on board, our group will be even stronger. We'll keep each other on track with our studies and surely benefit one another." "With my behavior, I even qualified to join?" Kevin asked shamefacedly. "Only the three of us know about this. There won't be a fourth person." "Don't worry," I said with a smile. "Tomorrow after school, you can come over with everyone, okay?" "Okay, I'll do my utmost to help you become the top of the school." Kevin wiped his tears and looked at me, saying, "Then aren't you personally grooming a competitor?" I asked with a smile. "There are no rivals. I was actually thinking it was boring." Kevin laughed. We talked about some light topics, and only then did Kevin leave. He kept looking back every few steps as he left. I was only 18, and yet I had already reached the pinnacle of moral character, winning people over with virtue. After Kevin left, Sophia looked at me. "You're impressive, huh? So you really can win people over with virtue." "No big deal," I said with a smile. "Now can you understand whether my way of handling this matter was right or wrong?" "I have to admit, that move of yours was really impressive." Sophia rarely praised me. I was instantly delighted. "How about kissing me as a reward?" "Dream on." Sophia huffed angrily and was about to leave. I thought of something very important and quickly grabbed Sophia. "In your past life, you didn't give me a child. So this life, we can't miss our chance. Anyway, before college, don't even think about touching me. Sophia blushed and stormed off. The next day, Kevin joining our college entrance exam winning group caused a sensation again. For a while, many more people wanted to apply to join. I still coldly refused. The group must never have too many members. Too many would create chaos. Not only would it prevent everyone from improving, it would harm each person's efficiency. Marcus and Olivia were also surprised by Kevin's arrival, but no one gave it much thought, and they all expressed their welcome. After all, Kevin had always ranked first or second in school. With such a top student joining, he was naturally welcomed. But as time went on, soon, problems began to appear. Kevin and Marcus became rivals in love. Both of them had actually fallen for Olivia. And as time went on, we naturally learned something about Olivia's background. Her father is the chairman of a publicly listed company, and the family is super rich. Of course, I don't envy any of that. I only have 30 years to live, and all I need is for my family to be healthy and safe. However, although I don't care about those things, Sophia does care a great deal. Ever since I learned that Olivia's family was incredibly wealthy, Sophia started paying even more attention to her, and the two of them grew closer. Actually, I know what Sophia wants to get, but I'm not optimistic about it. Very quickly. Only 2 days remained before the college entrance exam. These past couple of days, we've been encouraging ourselves to relax and face the final exam in the best possible state. So our study group has stopped meeting. We've already covered everything we needed to learn, and now it all comes down to performance on the day. Yeah, I've been especially nervous these past few days. I'm very afraid. I'm afraid that if I don't do well on the exam, I'll disappoint my parents. I only have 30 years to live. I hope that for the rest of my life, I will always be my parents' pride. Because I set such high goals for myself. My pressure is something others can't compare to. My parents also noticed my stress, and they all comforted me not to overthink it. But the more they tried to reassure me, the more pressured I felt. By evening, nearing dinner time. Knock, knock, knock. There was a knock at the door. I opened the door. Sophia was standing outside. She was dressed exceptionally beautifully today, like a fairy full of charm, making people utterly captivated. Looking at Sophia, who was especially charming today, I became gradually enthralled. Have you had your fill of looking? Sophia said, a little flushed. Not yet. I stared at her and said, how can you be so beautiful today? Good taste, I see. Sophia looked at me, then took my hand and said, come with me. Where are you going? I asked. Don't worry about it. Just follow me. Sophia pulled me along. Although I didn't know where she was going, following her made me feel very at ease. We arrived on the street, and Sophia took me to a restaurant to eat. Is this place expensive? I glanced at the restaurant's decor, then at the dishes Sophia had ordered, and felt this meal wouldn't come in under a few $100s. A few $100, for us, that was a huge sum. What are you afraid of? You're not the one paying. Sophia handed me the menu. Take another look. Anything else we need to order? That's all. I can't finish it. I quickly waved my hand and said. Seeing me like this, Sophia smiled. What are you afraid of? I have money. Where did you get so much money? I asked. My dad gave it to me. Sophia said. My future father-in-law. I looked surprised. Yeah. Sophia laughed. My dad said you've been acting off these past few days and asked me to take you out for a good meal to relax. He also told me to tell you that the college entrance exam is the day after tomorrow. Eat and drink what you should, and don't put too much pressure on yourself. I felt a surge of emotion. I hadn't expected my future father-in-law to be usually gruff, but so caring. Thinking this, I looked at the especially beautiful Sophia tonight and laughed. It seems my father-in-law has completely accepted me now. Marrying you should be a piece of cake, right? Don't flatter yourself. Marrying me isn't that easy. Sophia said in displeasure. You wouldn't have fallen for someone else, would you? I said discontentedly. What are you thinking? The food's here. Hurry and eat. After you're full, I have plans, she said. Sophia looked at me, a little flushed. I didn't dare disobey, either, stuffing myself as if afraid of wasting any. This was a feast Sophia treated me to. Wasting it would be a sin. After dinner, Sophia took me for a walk on the street. We passed a men's clothing store, and she dragged me in to try things on, buying me everything from head to toe. Leaving the men's store, I watched Sophia spend several hundred more dollars and couldn't help asking, "This wasn't also your father-in-law's order, was it? How much did my father-in-law actually give you? Don't worry about it. Tonight you just relax." Sophia still didn't answer. After shopping and buying clothes, she dragged me to see a movie. By the time we left the cinema, it was already 10:30. "Shall we go home?" I tugged at Sophia and said, "No, we're not going back tonight." Sophia stopped, her gaze turning to a nearby hotel. "We're staying here tonight." "Huh?" I looked at Sophia in complete surprise. She clearly said that before university, she wouldn't have any feelings and wouldn't fall in love. But now, I looked at the hotel again. "What's wrong?" Sophia looked at me and asked, "This is the most precious gift I gave you, and you don't want it?" "Of course I want it." I looked at Sophia. She was truly stunning tonight. "So you're just shy?" Sophia asked. "We were married in our previous life. What is there for me to be shy about?" I said worriedly, "I'm afraid of your dad." "He won't beat me to death, will he?" "Before I left, I told my dad that I wouldn't be coming home tonight," Sophia said. "Did your dad agree to that?" I asked nervously. "He didn't say anything, neither agreeing nor denying." Sophia looked at me and said, "So, that means tacit approval?" I immediately felt a surge of happiness. Sophia nodded shyly. Seeing that, I said nothing, tightly holding Sophia's hand as we walked toward the hotel. The university entrance exams finished smoothly. I scored just over 600 points. Sophia scored 12 points fewer than I did. Both of us underperformed a bit and didn't reach the expected standards, but I feel very satisfied. Sophia and I chose the same school. As for the other 3 members of our college entrance exam winning group, Kevin scored over 700 and got into Harvard University. Marcus didn't score very high, but he's a winner in life. He had won Olivia's favor. Even Olivia's father spoke of him in glowing terms. He had become the prospective son-in-law of the CEO of a publicly listed company, already ahead at life's starting line. Before school started, the 5 of us had a meal together. Finally, we all arrived at the top of Maple Leaf Park. The 5 of us each made our own wish. After making his wish, Olivia looked at Marcus and asked, "What did you wish for?" "I'm not telling you. If I tell you, it won't come true." Marcus smiled at Olivia. "What did you wish for?" "I'm not telling you either." Olivia ran off angrily, and Marcus hurried after her to comfort her. Kevin walked up to me with a serious look and said, "My wish is—" "You don't need to say it." I quickly interrupted. "Didn't you hear Marcus just now? Once you say it out loud, it won't work." "Okay." Kevin looked at me intently. "I'll be grateful to you for the rest of my life." Good brothers don't say things like that. Today is a happy day. I smiled, then put one hand on Kevin's shoulder and the other on Sophia's shoulder, the 3 of us looking out at the distant night sky. Perhaps we all saw that boundless, distant depth of the universe and the most brilliant star in the night sky that represented the people and things we cherished most. As for what wish Sophia made, I didn't need to ask to know, and my wish didn't need to be spoken either. Sophia knew it as well. College life began, and Sophia chose medicine. That was the wish she had made. I chose economics and trade. I knew I wouldn't live past 30, and I knew Sophia wouldn't get pregnant. We would never have our own children, but we would still be together. And I wanted in my lifetime to found a good company, a company that would be like a child for Sophia and me. After I leave, this company will take care of Sophia and both our parents for the rest of their lives, ensuring they lack nothing. This is my wish. Time passed quickly, and before long, it was time to graduate from university. During university, most of my energy wasn't actually spent on campus life, but on various part-time jobs. Graduation arrived. I had already saved over $200,000. Of course, that still wasn't enough for my startup. To support me, Sophia went home and pushed hard. She finally got a $500,000 cash dowry from her father ahead of time. When Mr. Taylor handed me the passbook, he had a dark look on his face. "You brat, if you squander all my money, I'll know how to deal with you. Don't worry, Mr. Taylor. That's impossible. You have to trust me. I shamelessly tried to take the passbook, but found Mr. Taylor gripping it tightly, and I couldn't pull it away no matter what. Mr. Taylor? Any last words? I asked. Money can be earned again, but I need to make one thing clear to you. Under no circumstances can you wrong my daughter. If you dare wrong my daughter, you're finished. Mr. Taylor growled with a dark face. Everyone could see that, under the guise of caring for his daughter's happiness, he was unwilling to part with his money. Of course, no one dared to say it out loud. Seeing that I absolutely couldn't get hold of the bank book, Sophia said, Dad, don't worry. I guaranteed this with my name. You might not trust others, but would you not trust your own daughter? Mr. Taylor snorted coldly, looking reluctantly upset. This was supposed to be your dowry, and now you haven't even gotten married yet, and the dowry has been taken by deceit. Oh, Dad, isn't this something that's bound to happen sooner or later? Sophia smiled. Once Ethan's company is set up, you just wait and enjoy the good life. Am I enjoying a life of luxury? Mr. Taylor scoffed. If you young people can live your own lives well and don't take advantage of me, that's already good enough. Dad, there you go again, Sophia said. You're not going to be unwilling to part with this money, are you? That hit the nail on the head, but only Sophia dared to say it. Mr. Taylor's face grew even darker, and he finally let go. How could I possibly be unwilling to part? Never mind, I won't say it. Seeing this, my father immediately stepped forward with a big smile. Relative by marriage, don't overthink it. Come drink. Tonight we won't leave until we're drunk. If I'm drunk, I'm not leaving. Mr. Taylor shouted with a scowling face. My dad chuckled happily. Yes, drunk and still won't come home. After they started drinking, they immediately called each other brothers and bragged outrageously. My mom and Mrs. Taylor were discussing the marriage between me and Sophia and things like that. I took the $2 million gathered from selling a house, the $500,000 Sophia's father grudgingly gave me, plus my own savings, totaling over $2.7 million, and set off on my entrepreneurial journey. Starting a business is even more exhausting than working for someone else. When you're an employee, you can coast until quitting time and not worry about anything. But when you run your own business, even after hours, you still have to worry about the company's affairs. Especially for a novice entrepreneur like me, lacking real experience, having taken some detours, and suffered many losses. In the second year, the company fell into a pit and was facing bankruptcy. I cannot accept that. I didn't have much time, and my family couldn't withstand my upheaval. Over the past 2 years, not only had I squandered our savings, but I was already over $1 million in debt. Because of this, the wedding between Sophia and me had been repeatedly postponed. Some say failure is the mother of success. But to me, it isn't. When ordinary people fall, they often can't get back up. Where would the chance for another try come from? Facing a company on the brink of bankruptcy, I was almost hopeless. For several days, I slept at the office and didn't go home. That day, Sophia came to the office. Why haven't you gone back for a few days? I thought you were fooling around with Xiao Wang from the company. Do I have that qualification? I looked utterly dejected. Glancing at Sophia, I wanted to cry. I feel like I've let her down, and even more sorry for the wholehearted support of both parents. I have failed so miserably. If you want to cry, then cry out loud. It's not shameful for a man to cry. Sophia came up to me and held me in her arms. At this moment, I couldn't hold back anymore. Why? I cried like a 3-year-old, bawling. But just then, bursts of laughter came from beside me. Ow, how pitiful. Who's this? Crying so miserably. I thought I walked into a kindergarten. 3 mocking voices rang out. I looked up to see Kevin, Marcus, and Olivia walking over. Seeing the 3 of them coming, I hurriedly let go of Sophia. Why are they here? Aren't you afraid of embarrassing yourself? Sophia asked with a smile. Exactly. Marcus appeared with a voice. Those embarrassing things you did as a kid. Do you think we don't know? Still afraid of losing face in front of us. I gave a wry smile and looked at everyone. I originally thought that by next year I could meet you all as a successful entrepreneur, but I didn't expect you to show up at my lowest point. Sorry to make you laugh at me. TCH, Marcus scoffed. Even if you become more successful, I know back then you ran for 20 minutes to save a few dollars, go to pick up our late night food. Exactly. Olivia laughed along. Remember in college, when it was your turn to treat us? To save money, you had us run so far. I was wearing high heels. I almost broke my foot. Thinking about it brings tears. Kevin sighed. You guys don't know, one time he asked me to do something for him. I came all the way from school to meet him, and after we were done, he treated me to a plate of spaghetti, then said he was going to be late for his part-time job and just left me stranded there. The others unloaded a barrage of complaints on me. I was instantly mortified. The next moment, 2 bank cards appeared in front of me. Ethan, this is my salary from the past few years, and it's also my wife fund. I'm handing it all to you. You can't lose it all again, can you? Kevin said, holding the bank card. Marcus also took out a bank card. This is the money I've gotten from living off others for the past few years. It's my life savings. You absolutely can't fail again. Once you've made it, I won't be able to live off others anymore, and I'll have to come rely on you. Marcus, how dare you say that again? Olivia immediately pinched Marcus. I was so moved, I was a complete mess. I hugged Marcus and Kevin and cried again. Who cares? Anyway, I'd already made a fool of myself, so I wasn't afraid of doing it once more. After embracing, I took the few of them back to my place. In high school, we were always at my house or at Sophia's for tutoring and classes together, so my parents naturally knew them well. They'd actually missed them a bit after not seeing them for a while. After catching up, I learned that Marcus is now the vice president of sales at a company. Kevin is now in the research department of a company, working in software development. Seeing how everyone had suddenly grown up and that each of them was doing well, my parents were full of feeling. After dinner, Sophia and Olivia chatted about women's things. I took Marcus and Kevin out to the balcony to smoke. I handed the cigarettes to them, and both took one. It seems you all like to take a puff now, and then? I asked with a smile. Can't help it. Sometimes my thoughts get especially messy, and with work pressure, I finally understand what it's like for a man to light up when he's feeling lonely. Kevin said with feeling. Yes. Marcus nodded. Kid, what pressure are you under? I looked at Marcus. His dad looked old-fashioned, but he was actually quite a contractor. When business was good, he could make millions of dollars in a year. On top of that, Marcus is now attached to Olivia, a rich heiress, and her future father-in-law is the big boss of a publicly listed company, so he's even less short of money. How would you know my hardships? Marcus sighed and said, over the years Olivia has had an abortion for me once. The reason we haven't married all this time is because of Olivia's father. What for? I looked at Marcus. He looks down on you. Thinks your family is too poor? No. He said he doesn't care about background because he built himself up from nothing, but Olivia is his only daughter. What he cares about is the character and ability of his son-in-law. Marcus sighed, so he told me to accomplish something and show it to him. Only by proving my ability would he agree to my marriage with Olivia. Hearing that, I felt very moved. Marcus glanced at the cigarette in his hand and sighed. Over the years, by using Olivia's father's resources, I've met all kinds of successful people. My biggest takeaway is that no matter what class you're from, no matter who you are, everyone encounters difficulties in their own field. Life is hard for everyone. Marcus's words had Kevin and me nodding repeatedly. We lamented how hard life is, complaining while also dreaming about the future. This is the simplicity of men and our sentimentality. We partied until 10 at night. Only then did we disperse. Sophia and I walked them to the building at the bottom of the complex. Kevin gave me a slight smile. Do you know what wish I made last time at Maple Leaf Park? I wish that I could help you out someday. Good brothers don't say so much. I patted his shoulder and said, I think next time when we have time, we'll get together again, go to Maple Leaf Park once more, and make our wishes again. Kevin suggested. What do you all think? Everyone looked at Kevin, each with their own thoughts on their faces. Yes. We're no longer in high school. Each of us has changed, become more mature, become more serious, and my thoughts have grown more complex. We all unanimously agreed to Kevin's proposal. When Kevin drove away, I watched Marcus get into the car. Seeing his smile, I felt a deep emotion in my heart. Actually, I know Marcus very well. On the surface, Marcus seems quite outgoing, but I can tell that among the few of us, he carries the most on his mind. If he hadn't chosen Olivia, then he would now certainly be the most carefree of us. But I also know that his feelings for Olivia are genuine. For this love, he has given a great deal. Thinking of that, I grabbed Marcus as he was about to get into the car, hugged him, and whispered in his ear, "If you ever feel wronged, if you ever want to cry, come to me. Cry out loud and tell me everything here. We won't be afraid of laughing at each other, right?" Marcus looked at me deeply. "Bro, sometimes you understand me better than she does, but I can't cry." "Okay." I gave Marcus a thumbs up. "You're tougher than me." Seeing that, Marcus hugged me and said in my ear, "If I really can't hold on and have to cry, I'll definitely come to you. Just don't mind me then." "Goodbye," I said. "Goodbye." Marcus let go of me, wearing his usual smile, got into the car, and drove away. Sophia came over to me and asked, "You and Marcus were hugging and hugging. What whispering were you doing?" "This is a man's business." I said, "I don't want to talk about it, and I don't want to know." Sophia turned away in anger. Around midnight, Sophia whispered in my ear again, "What exactly did you say?" I looked at Sophia and smiled slightly. Said, "You're beautiful." How embarrassing. After hanging out with a few friends, I was no longer down. Their arrival seemed to recharge me and gave me the drive again. Of course, friendship was only a supplementary factor. The main thing was still the money they sent. Kevin sent $500,000, and Marcus sent $2 million. With this sum, my company got a chance to turn things around and could slowly climb out of the hole. A year passed. I was 26, with 4 years left on my life countdown. My company finally got on track. Annual revenue in the tens of millions of dollars, and annual net profit in the millions. Although the company had been through years of turmoil, to me this was only the beginning. I am very confident that, given enough time, I can build the company to an annual profit of over $100 million. That day, I escorted Sophia to the operating room. Sophia is now part of the medical community, and through a colleague's recommendation, there was a surgical approach that might give her a chance to become pregnant again, though the technique is still immature. Sophia, her parents, my parents, and I discussed it for a week, and ultimately, at Sophia's insistence, we all agreed to let her try. According to her, medicine can only advance if people are willing to make sacrifices. If no one even dares to try, how could there be any progress? She was willing to make sacrifices for medicine, and at the same time want a chance for herself. What none of us expected was that 6 months after the operation, Sophia really became pregnant. For us, this was not only a medical advancement, it was our success. Our whole family was overjoyed, especially my mom. She wanted to be around Sophia every day, never letting her out of her sight. Because Sophia is a doctor herself, she knew it was a boy. When she said that, my dad was more excited than anyone. I lay on Sophia's stomach and listened. "Is it really a boy?" My colleague's exact words were, "The hospital has a rule forbidding disclosing information about your son." Sophia imitated the other's tone. I was just speechless. "This isn't a hint. It's an outright declaration. This is way too brazen." I immediately said indignantly, "But the one I like is your daughter, asshole." Before I could say more, my dad had already grabbed the household weapon, the feather duster. "Whoever dares not to love my precious grandson will be dealt with by family law." I was so scared I hurriedly begged for mercy. "Dad, you misunderstood me. I want Sophia to have more children, not that I don't like your precious grandson." "Really?" My father glared at me, his face full of disbelief. "Dad, put the weapon away. You can't let that thing get damaged. You have to pass it on to me. Otherwise, how will I discipline my son in the future?" I smiled and signaled to Dad to calm down. Seeing that he still refused to put down the feather duster, I said again, Dad, Sophia and I are only in our 20s. You'll definitely have a second or third grandchild in the future. Without the feather duster, I really won't be able to discipline the kids. Please put the magic weapon away. Oomph. Only then did Dad snort and say, You said that yourself. Don't worry. Your son promises to get the job done. I immediately saluted. The following month, I held a wedding with Sophia. Kevin, Marcus, and Olivia also came to attend the wedding. That night, which was supposed to be the wedding night ruckus, both I, the groom, and Sophia, the bride, slipped away and were nowhere to be found. A bunch of relatives were like headless flies. Sophia and I had already arrived at Maple Leaf Park. The five of us climbed to the summit again and made our individual wishes. Unlike when we were 18, back then we joked and teased, asking each other what wishes we'd made. Now we had all become more composed. After making our wishes, the five of us fell silent, all looking up at the night sky. A shooting star. Sophia suddenly pointed at the sky and called out. Watching the meteor streak across the night and vanish in an instant, we each couldn't help but let the corners of our mouths lift slightly. It was our hope and light. Another year has passed, and there are only 3 years left on the countdown of my life. My child was born. Watching him cry and wail day after day, I forced myself to smile every day. But with only 3 years of life remaining, my unease grows stronger. Just like that night, after the five of us made our wishes, the silence that followed felt as if all the laughter and joy had vanished. On the day the child reached 1 month, the five of us gathered together again. It was apparent that Kevin seemed to have something on his mind. After the meal, Marcus and I pulled Kevin aside to ask. Kevin handed each of us a cigarette, his face full of melancholy. I shouldn't have chosen this major back then. The competition is too fierce. I got fired from the company. Marcus and I patted his shoulder, one on each side. Why don't you try starting your own business? I thought for a moment and asked. Me? Kevin looked at me and asked. Yeah, you've got the skills yourself. You know how to do it. Start your own software development company. Isn't that great? I smiled and said, Yeah. Marcus nodded in agreement. That's a good idea. I agree too. But this venture is different from your startup. My initial capital will probably need to be in the tens or hundreds of thousands. Kevin hesitated and looked at me. I'm even understating it. It's so much money you wouldn't dare to imagine. I have experience with that. If you start a business yourself, you have to do it hands-on. You can't compare it to the spending of big companies. I patted Kevin and said, If you're willing to start a business, I'll support you, and I can handle the finances for a while at the beginning to help you save costs. I have plenty of experience in that area. Ethan and I will each back you with $5 million. How about that? Marcus added. Kevin was moved for a moment, but still didn't dare act rashly. He said, If I fail, the loss would be at least tens of millions of dollars. Even if you two are better off now, that's still a huge amount. If I fail, I won't just lose face in front of you. My family doesn't have deep pockets, and I couldn't repay that money. Then we'll join in by taking equity. Marcus laughed. If we profit, we prosper together. If we lose, we bear it together. That counts as sharing blessings and hardships. What do you think, Ethan? I nodded and handed Kevin a cigarette. Stop talking. Let's do it. Go for it. Well, Kevin took the cigarette, looked at me, then at Marcus. Then I'll give it a try. Light it. Marcus smiled as he lit a cigarette for Kevin. Another year passed. We were 28. There were 2 years left on the countdown of my life. Kevin's company successfully developed a piece of software, and several companies were interested in buying it. The lowest offer was $50 million. Some large companies were even impressed by Kevin's R&D capabilities and wanted to take a stake or acquire his company outright. Back when Kevin kept saying he couldn't do it, but now not only has he succeeded in starting a business, he's also found love. He's involved with one of the company's senior executives, and they're talking marriage. He was very happy and held a celebration banquet. However, Marcus and Olivia didn't show up. I had Sophia ask around. She went to question Olivia, and only then did we learn that Olivia and Marcus had broken up. How about this? I'll go check on Olivia. You and Kevin go find Marcus. We'll split up, Sophia suggested. Okay. Kevin and I nodded and agreed. I drove like mad all the way to Marcus's house. His dad said Marcus hadn't been home for over a month. At first they could get through on the phone, but later Marcus stopped answering, and they were worried. Back in the car, I looked at Kevin. Where do you think he went? If it were me, I'd go to that wishing spot. Kevin was very sharp and immediately thought of that. I thought so too. We drove to Maple Leaf Park and reached the hilltop. Sure enough, someone was lying on the grass, with many empty bottles of alcohol scattered around. Marcus, who used to be the most cheerful and self-absorbed, now looked like a beggar. Kevin wanted to step forward and comfort him, but I pulled Kevin back. To me, Marcus was like a former student. He had been on the wrong path, and in the end, I had dragged him into becoming a good student. Seeing him treat himself like this, so spiritless, I was angrier than anyone. I walked up to Marcus and kicked him. Get up. Marcus opened his eyes slightly. I didn't wait for him to say anything. I immediately went up and started punching him. Bang, bang, bang. I kept hitting him. Marcus got angry too and fought back at me. Kevin tried to pull us apart, and in the end, he also got innocently punched many times. When we tired from fighting, we finally stopped. Kevin took out a cigarette and handed it to us. Watching everyone look so comically bruised and battered, we shook our heads and, for the first time in a while, laughed. The laughter was sincere, as if we had all returned to 18. I took a deep drag of my cigarette and looked at Marcus. Do you know? The first time I saw you, I actually didn't like you because you had no ambition at all. But later, watching you grow step by step, do you know how happy that made me? I didn't expect that after 10 years, you're still not even as good as when you were 18. So when I see you, I just want to punch you. Marcus cried, tears streaming. Ethan, everyone says I'm with Olivia for her money, but I'm not. I really like her, boo-hoo. Of course no. Looking at Marcus crying like a child, I put my hand on his shoulder, pressed his head down, and said, I know of course you're doing this for love, but Olivia may have already changed, and besides, your families aren't even on the same level. No. Marcus suddenly shouted, she still loves me. It's just that her father insists on breaking us up. His company hasn't done well these past years. For the sake of E, he's willing to have his daughter marry into the Zhao family. Are you sure? I asked. Brother, do you believe me? Marcus replied rhetorically. I was momentarily stunned and looked at Kevin. At that moment, Sophia, who was heading toward Olivia, sent me a message, breaking up but not happy. I showed the message to Marcus. Marcus hugged my phone and cried again. Seeing him devastated, I stood up and shouted, defy heaven, never give up. Brother, what do you mean? Marcus looked at me with tear-filled eyes and asked, crash the wedding. I looked at Marcus and shouted, brothers, we'll help you snatch the bride. Are you in? All right, let's do it. Kevin reached out his hand. The three of us stacked our 6 hands together. Defy the heavens, never give up. 2 weeks later, a certain Grand Hotel was hosting 2 weddings at the same time. On one side, people came and went, bustling with excitement. But on the other side, there wasn't even a bride. Just as the Zhao family's wedding reached the moment when the bride and groom were to enter the hall, I rushed onto the stage and snatched the microphone from the host's hand. Who are you? The host was startled. The guests on site all looked at me in surprise. I am a deity from the heavens, come to bestow a great love. You're not going to stop me, are you? I looked at the master of ceremonies. The MC frowned. Perhaps he thought I was someone from the Zhao family with some special arrangement. He nodded politely, indicating I should continue. I took the microphone, watched Olivia about to step onto the stage, then took out the love letter Marcus had written and began to read it aloud on the spot. That year, you were 18, I was 18 too. The moment I saw you, I knew you were the one for me. It was also that year that we fell in love. You asked me what love is. I told you love is eternity. After reading this love letter, Olivia was already in tears. I shouted loudly, Olivia, are you happy now? Then Marcus, dressed in a groom's suit, came out from behind me. Seeing Marcus appear, Olivia's father looked utterly stunned. Marcus held the ring, down on one knee. Olivia, I hate your father, but I want to marry you, be my wife. Olivia's face was streaming with tears. Then Kevin took the microphone and began to sing a love song. You ask me how deep my love is, how much I love you. My feelings are true, my love is true. The atmosphere at the scene had already been pushed to its peak, but it still needed a spark. At that moment, Sophia appeared, coming up behind Olivia. He asked you, were those things you once said true? The words struck the center of Olivia's heart, and one precious memory after another surfaced. Olivia could no longer hold herself together. Clutching her wedding dress, she ran to Marcus in tears. Will you marry me? Marcus asked excitedly. Yes. Ido. Olivia nodded vigorously. In front of everyone, Marcus personally put the wedding ring on Olivia's finger. Yvonne set off the confetti, streamers danced, and in that moment Marcus and Olivia looked like a celestial couple. Absolutely beautiful. In front of everyone, we successfully abducted the bride. We arrived at the real wedding venue belonging to Marcus and Olivia. But at that exciting moment for everyone, I suddenly felt dizzy. Blood started gushing uncontrollably from my nose, and then everything went black. Boom! I clearly felt myself fall, but I did not feel any pain. I was only 28. I had thought death would not come for another 2 years, but it arrived early. When I opened my eyes again, I was on an operating table, surrounded by a group of doctors. The attending physician was my wife, Sophia. Seeing her so utterly serious, I smiled slightly. I wanted to reach out, but I had no strength. She ignored me, as if she didn't see me, simply earnestly carrying out her operation. Once more, I felt the world go black, and I fell asleep. I entered a dream, and in it was the scene from last time when the 5 of us were making wishes. My wish is, I don't want to die. I can't bear to part with my friends, my wife, my family. I want to watch them grow old. A meteor streaked across the darkness. I opened my eyes again. In front of me were Marcus and Olivia, Kevin and Yvonne, Sophia and her son, and my parents and Sophia's parents. She's awake, she's awake. Everyone cried out joyfully. I looked at Sophia. Can I stop dying now? Not that fast. Sophia, holding her son, came to my side and let me hold the boy's hand. She smiled faintly. But we have hope.